So yesterday we were in the middle of a very nice sugya, an instance where there was a star that was said that so and so belonging to you. He was holding on to the star. It didn't say a name. It said a pronoun. It said you. And Rav Huna said, "There's no way you can collect with the star. After all, it could have fallen from him. It could have fallen from him, and he's now whoever's holding on to it is the you." Rav Chisda told Rabbi to go check it out because Rav Huna is going to want to know what his opinion is, and Rabbi and he checked it out and he wanted to compare it to a case of get, where a get didn't have his man in it. It said, "I divorced you on this day." This day does not say anything. Which day was it? So just like over there, this day was a good get. So too you is a good star, and you'll be able to collect from it. In other words, not like Rav Huna. Abaye disagreed with Rabba. Abaye said, over there's a distinct difference. Over there, it's so he want. Abai said Yechayish in the fila. Over there, Yechayish by Mimcha falling. Now, Lachar said, Rabbi, you're not Chayish for falling by what? By the fact he brought in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah said that other people cannot take out, a Malva cannot take out a debt, a star of debt on two Yosef ben Shimon, but Yosef ben Shimon could take out a debt on somebody else. Now, if you chayish from the fila, why don't we chayish that Yosef ben Shimon A lost his star, Yosef ben Shimon B picked it up and is collecting? Ella, when you do not go ahead and consider that, it must be you're not chayish from the fila. Memela by Mimcha as well, you're not chayish from the fila. And Abai said it's not true. You can make a distinction between the fila of a rabbim versus the fila of an individual. And the fila of an individual means statistically, if I lose the star, what's the statistical chances for being picked up by this Yosef ben Shimon B? Conversely, where Memcha is you, anyone who picks it up is the you, therefore you would go ahead and be chayish for that. That was the bias between the two. Okay, now we're up to Kuf Ayin Gimel Amid Aleph. Tanya. Kishem she'ein moitziin shtar chayv zeh al zeh. Just like the Mishnah said, the two Yosef Shimons, 1 and 2, cannot take out a shtar chayv on each other because you don't know who's the milva, who's the loive. Kach ein moitziin al acherim. So too what? They can't take out on somebody else. Now this is different than what we said yesterday. Yesterday we said they could. Yesterday they said we could. This scenario, on each other they can't take out. On each other they can't take out. On Acherim, we said yesterday they could, and now we're saying they can't. So here's the question. Look at the pointer. In the second column, our Mishnah says they can't take out on each other, but on other people they could. It would be a viable star. This Bais is saying you can't. Let's do the Bais again. Just like you can't take out on each other, so too you can't take on other people, right? But my kamifli, what's the svaras hamachloikis between these two guys? What's the svaras hamachloikis between these two cases? So I put it over here, whether OCS is nikna b'mesira or not. This person shows up with a star. We said, if you show up with a star, if it doesn't have your name on the star, it doesn't make a difference. If it's in your possession, right, you were kind of the star. So because ICS, the letters of the star are nikdis b'mesira. So the reason why Yosef ben Shimon over here can collect with it, because even if Yosef ben Shimon, we're not chayish in a fila for one person, we're not chayish in a fila. Abaya said for one person we're chayish in a fila. How did he get it? How did Yosef ben Shimon number 2 get it? He must have got it from number 1. If he got it from number 1, he's kind of the star. If he's kind of the star, then he would be able to collect the halva. Whereas this Baisa says, Ein oisias nikdas b'mesira. So if Yosef ben Shimon number 2 shows up with it, it really belongs to Yosef Shimon number 1, or vice versa. But mainly you can't collect with that star. That would be the explanation. The reason for the discrepancy between our Mishnah, where they can collect from somebody else, right? Where they can collect from somebody else, and the Baisa says they can't collect from somebody else. That Yosef ben Shimon, if there's 2 Yosef ben Shimons, they can't collect from somebody else because you always chayshid that he gave over the star, and the star is not kaina. It's not nicked the star. That's the reason between these two. Al chayrim, right? No. See it inside again, guys. Just like you can't go ahead and be moitzi a shtar choiv on I just had to make sure we're recording. Just like you can't be moitzi a shtar choiv on somebody else. Now we said you could be moitzi a shtar choiv on somebody else. But my kanifli, that's as far as the machlokes. Be oisius niknis b'mesira kanifli. Tana didon. The Tana by Mishnah says you could be moitzi savar oisius niknis b'mesira. Fellas, there's nothing to worry about. If you, number one, are the real malva, great. If you're not the real malva, then number two is the real malva because you gave it over to him. And as soon as you gave it over to him, it becomes his. So therefore you can collect. The Tana Barua, but the Tana of the Brisa Savar, ain't Oisius Niklas and Masira. Oisius are not acquired in Masira. Oisius are not acquired in Masira. Therefore, you have to be chayish that if he has it, that even if he gave it to him, it's not acquired. So you only own number one or number two, vice versa. The male you can't collect. That would explain the discrepancy between our Mishnah and the Brisa. B-boy is saying a second possibility. The Kuli Alma, Oisius Niklas Masira. In fact, we do paskin that way. So this would be a very, very good way to help Herzich. It should be whole two. The Masira. Because Oisius is Niklas Masira. Guys, so if Oisius is Niklas Masira, what's the shot in the Brisa? If Oisius is Niklas Masira, why the Brisa doesn't it work? The Hacha bit Sarach Lehevi Raya Kamiflagi. Tana Didan Sava ain't Sarach Lehevi Raya. Tana Bra Sava Sarach Lehevi Raya. So very geschmack. Let's see it inside. And let's look at our chart, guys. Good. So again, what's our kasha? What's our kasha? Kasha is this line over here. The discrepancy between here where yes, you could use it. No, you can't. You could, because once the guy has it, he's kind of it. You can't, because the fact that he has it is not a right that he kind of it. According to the second column, everyone holds Oisius Nixus and Masira. So if it's Oisius Nixus and Masira, why is there a no over here? And the answer is, according to this one, you don't have to bring a raya. The fact that it's Nixus and Masira, you don't have to bring a raya to that. According to the second Brisa, you have to bring a raya. And since you can't bring a raya that he gave it over to him, the answer is no. The Brisa is speaking where he didn't bring a raya. Since he didn't bring a raya, therefore, he won't be able to use the shtar. That's the second way to explain the discrepancy between the Brisa and our Mishnah. That's the second way to explain the discrepancy in the Brisa and the Mishnah. Back in our Gemara. You have to bring a raya that he gave it over. You don't have to bring a raya that he gave it over. That you have to bring a raya. How do you know how do I know you have to bring a raya? Because you have the following case. You have echamina achim, two brothers, one brother, shashtar chayv yotzim mitachas yadai. Says Rashbam. You have a brother, and you have a shtar coming out from beneath them. Either it has the father's name in it, or a shame of another milva. And one brother claims that you gave it to me, and the other one says you grabbed it from me. So you have it in the estate. He, as the yasam, is able to collect. And the question is, was he given the right to collect by the other brother, or did he illegally go ahead and chop it from the estate? Good, that's the question. So right? It's upon him to bring a raya. So you see that you have to bring a raya. Abaye said you have to bring a raya. And Memela, Abaye will be of the opinion also, if you have the shtar, Yosef ben Shimon number 2 has the shtar, he'd have to bring a raya that Yosef ben Shimon number 1 gave it to him. He'd have to bring a raya. My love, who adin lachrina, just like by the case of the brothers, you have to bring a raya that your brother gave it to you, who hadin, by the 2 Yosef ben Shimon, he'd have to bring a raya that he gave it to him. And therefore, if he doesn't bring a raya, he can't collect with it. For Rabbi Amar, shiny achin, this shamtam adadi. They're different. Right? And he says, no, it's different. Fellas, psychologically, if you're part of an estate and there's a shtar over there, or you just have the same name as a person, where are you more apt to go ahead and take the shtar? Obviously by the estate, because you know you have a piece of the action, it's your father's, you can be mariheta, you took care of your father so well. There it's more apt that the person would go ahead and grab it. Memela, there you have to bring a raya. But if it's a regular case of two Yosis ben Shimon, a case of Masir Vishtar, there you don't have to bring a raya. So says Rava, who says you don't have to bring a raya, slugging up a Abaya's raya. A Abaya's raya that you have to bring a raya is from a brother, that our brother has a star, and one's claiming that you chopped it. He has to bring a raya that he gave it to him. So who adin by Yosef ben Shimon? He'd have to bring a raya that he gave it to him. On that, Rabbi says it's not a raya because there's distinction between from an estate and from two different people totally. Ikadi Amri. Now Rav is going to go ahead and use it as a raya. Ikadi Amri Amarava. Mino Amina law that you don't have to bring a raya. Mino Amina you don't have to bring a raya. The Tanya. Echamina Achim Sheashtarcha Yotzim Mitachas Yadai. Allah Lehevi Raya. He has to bring a raya. Achin who why? Because Achin who dishamtim me'adadi. Brothers who will chap from each other have to bring a raya that the other one gave it to him legally. Avalachrina, but stam azoi, a regular person like a two Yosef ben Shimon. No, you don't have to bring a raya. So what Rabbi does, he takes a bias raya and inversely says what is a raya that you don't have to bring a raya. Rabbi Achin is tzricha. No, Achin you have to teach me. Sakadat min kivin dishamtim me'adadi ema mizda zari v'leit tzricha levi raya. Pai says adarabba. The fact that they chap from each other, it must be that if he has it. And they're very diligent, therefore, and watching each other that they didn't chop it. Again, since it's a situation that normally you'd have to worry about, the fact that he has in his possession, it must be that he gave it to him legally. Because since they all know that buyer beware, if you're going to get it, you got not buyer beware, but in a situation where it's apt to be taken. So the fact that he has it, so raya must be gave it to him. And if I wouldn't think you bring a raya, Kamashmalan, you still have to bring a raya. That's a buyer's objection to Rav's raya. Okay, guys. So that took care of the first part. Okay. Now we have a second part over here, guys. We have a second stira. Let's look at it first. Here's the second stira. Second stira is over here. Here and here. Ze al ze. Right? Here's the second stira. Just like they could take out on other people, they're able to take out on each other. That's the Bryce number 2. Just like on Acherim, they can take out a star, so too they can take a star on themselves. Amisha says you can't. How do you explain this discrepancy? On that, we have over here. Okay? Tanaba Mishnah holds Kaisvin star loiva, af b'shein malva imai. You'll write a star to the loiva, even though the malva is not there. So therefore, he can go ahead. Since the malva wasn't there, you'd be able to use the star against him, saying, "Oh, you're the loiva, I'm the malva, right?" Because he wasn't present. Mashenkin, Bryce number 2 holds, you don't write a star for the loiva unless the malva was there. Thus, that Yosef ben Shimon, who has the star, right, who doesn't have the star, obviously was there when the star was written. So therefore, in that case, they can even take out one on each other because you're going to have Adis. He wouldn't have been there and given it to him unless what? He was present. So therefore, that's the way to explain this discrepancy over here. Let's see it inside. Tana Didona Tana says Kaisen Star Loiva Valpishain Malva Imoi. Zimdim the Ozil Gabi Safra. Maybe they'll go to a Seifer Visade with Aiden Vamalahu, Kisuli Shtara, right from your star, the Beina Lamezif Miyosef Ben Shim Haverai, because I have to go ahead and borrow money from Yosef Ben Shimon, my friend. Ubasa the Kasei V'Chasmila, and once it's written and signed, Nakdale, he'll take it. V'Amalei Havli Meir the Yasmi Minoi. Give me the 100 that you borrowed from me. This is a classic, right? Since you don't need the other person there, what are you going to do? You're going to go to get Malva. You can write for the loiva. He makes it believe he's the loiva, and since the names are the same, he'll reverse it and it'll become the Malva. So therefore, Atana says no. We're not going to allow this. We're not going to allow. We're not going to allow zeh al zeh. It's not going to happen because since the possibility exists that since you could write the star without the other person being there, you're set up for this harama. The mela, they can't take out on each other. Tana bra sava, with this Tana, the Tana bra, this Tana over here, who says, yes, you would, and therefore there's no concern that what? That the malva, the loiva will become the malva. It doesn't exist. It can't possibly happen. Guys, you got that case? One more time? Okay. You have two people with the same name. Our Mishnah said you cannot go ahead and write a star for one of them. Because why? Because he'll go ahead, make believe that he's the loiva. If you write the star, then he'll become the malva. And since the names are the same, it's going to work. Good. So therefore, you can't do it. Says the Tana of the Baisa, you could do it. You could do it. Now, why was there no concern like the Tana of the Baisa, like the same concern of the Tana of our Mishnah? Our Tana of the Mishnah had a valid concern. You're going to go ahead. You don't need the loiva there. You don't need the malva there. You're going to say, write a star that I owe so and so, but by the same name as mine, that I owe him $100. Then you're going to go over to him and go, where's my $100? You're going to become the malva. Therefore, we don't do it. Mashain came, the Brisa says you do it. You know why? Because you can't write the star without the presence of the other guy, and therefore we're not worried about it. Okay, therefore we're not worried about it, and that's the explanation of that little chart. Will explain the first part of the Mishnah, that acherim, whether acherim not, or ze al ze. Very good. Continues the Gemara. Nimsa le'echa ben shlei roisav shtar shel Yosef ben Shimon perua shtar shnei peruin. What did we say? Person had gone ahead and he had lent money to who? To two Yosef ben Shimon. And he found among the shtar that one of them paid up, so the book considered paid. Now, this was a problem yesterday. Guys, we said that they could never borrow from somebody. So how do you have the situation? On one line, look back in the Mishnah. Go back to the Mishnah. Guys, go back to the Mishnah. On the Kufam Beis Amid Aleph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines up. Shnayim shal yabir achas. Shem echad Yosef ben Shimon. Shem achar Yosef ben Shimon. They're both called Yosef ben Shimon. Ein yecholim lahoitzi shtar choyv ze al ze. Okay, we just did that. They can't on each other. V'loy achar yochel lahoitzi aleim shtar chov. Nor can an other person be a milva to them. Meaning, there's no way that they can be a lova, because no one can lend them money. Yes? Nimtza le'echad ben shtei roisav. If you find by one person, shtei roisav shel Yosef ben Shimon perua. Why? 2 Yosef ben Shimon borrowed from him. But you just told me a line before that can't be. You just told me the line before that they can't be the loiva. And now you tell me, well, if you find it, right, you hit a problem, guys. How's that be? You can't have that case. That's the Gemara's problem. Okay. Says the Gemara. For Taima, the Nimsa, the reason why what? That they're both considered paid is because you find it haloi Nimsa, but if you didn't find the Shtar Perua, Matzi Mafik, you're able to go ahead and make a claim against Yosef ben Shimon. The line before we said that no person can go ahead and take a Shtar Chov out against them. The reason it's considered paid over here is because Nimsa was found. Mashma, if it wasn't found, you would be able to make a claim. But you just told me the line before that no one can make a claim. Rav Yirmiyah, it's speaking b'mishulashin. Mishulashin, says the Rashbam, Pirish, b'shtar shloisha doires. You put in the 3rd generation. Yosef ben Yaakov ben Yosef ben Yitzchak, u'v'ida kasav Yosef ben Yaakov ben David. U'b'shoiver, and in the receipt kasav stam Yosef ben Yaakov. So in other words, from the receipt, you can't tell because you only had the 2 generations. But in the halva itself, there were 3 generations. Where there's 3 generations, then it's a different person. Then you would be able to go ahead and lend them. Good? Says the Gemara. Look at the receipt, and we'll be able to see from the receipt which one it is. So why do you say that they're all paid up? In the shtar, as Rashbam just spoke out, in the shtar you wrote Yaakov ben Yitzchak ben Avram. And in the Shoiv, you just wrote Yaakov ben Yitzchak. No, but you're not learning the case the right way. It's not that the malva found among his shtaris, it's the loiva. Nimsa loiva ben shtei roisav shtar shel Yosef ben Shimon. We said Yosef ben Shimon could lend to somebody else. And a loiva found that he had gone ahead and borrowed from both Yosef and Shimon, and he found in his Ksam Perua, Shtarosh Shneim Perua, and both they can't collect it. So therefore, it's not Shver. It's not speaking where he's the Yosef ben Shimon is the loiva. It's speaking where Yosef Shimon is the malva. And who found the shtaris? The loiva found the shtar. The loiva finds the shtar. It says Yosef ben Shimon paid up. Right? I paid up Yosef ben Shimon. Right? Then both Yosef ben Shimons can't collect because people say, well, either one. Ketzad Yasu, in order to avoid the problem, we said they should go ahead and bring in a third generation. Tana, Kahanim. Let's say you bring in the third generation, and then you bring in Kahanim. So go down enough generations till you find a discrepancy and know that they're two different people. Someone says to his son, he says, he's dying. This person's dying. And he says, there's one star among my stars that's paid up. And I don't know which one. And Rashbam says he doesn't want to be punished. Rashbam says he doesn't want to be punished. Then kulam pruyim. Then they'll all be considered paid up. Let's say Rashbam. Shtaris kulam pruyim. Chutz me oisan shiyamru adayim le paranu. In other words, if he would say the ones were not paid up, in other words, he designates. He says among these are paid ones paid up. But if he says these were dafka not paid, then of course they're not paid. Nims back in the Mishnah. Nimsel echad shem sham shnayim. Now you say the following: one of the stars is paid up, and you find a person of halva from one person with two amounts. So clearly, only one of them is paid up. Of course, it's two halvas. It's one person with two separate loans. So if he said one of the loans is paid up, right, only one will have to pay. You don't get, you're not clearing both. He only said one is paid up. So then, the larger of the loans will be paid up, and you want to be mitzi from your friend, you'd have to go ahead and prove that it was the larger one that was not paid up. So again, this is a classic case of a mitzi mechavero. Yeah. Says in Amar Rava, right? Amar Rava, we have the following case. Says Rava, someone says to his friend, "Shtar l'cha biyadi, a shtar chayv of yours is in my hand, parua, and I have two stars, and one of them is paid up. So gadol parua, but katan ain't a parua. That's that again. Mitzvah mechaber, chayv l'cha biyadi, parua, a chayv. He says lashon of chayv in my hand is paid up. Then all the stars cool are paid up, right? When he says the lashon chayiv, then all are paid up. Amle Ravina l'Rava elameata sadai mechur lecha. My sada was sold to you. Sada hagedola. Then we don't know which one it is. It'll be the larger field. So, however you say sada gedola mechur lecha, sada sheyeshni mechur lecha. So no, excuse me, sada mechur lecha, and you don't say this one. Halacha is sada gedola mechur lecha. It's the larger one. Sada sheyeshni mechur lecha, a sada that is to me. Now, that sada that is to me is like chayv. There's a chayv. You're going to tell me that what kol sedaisa mechur lecha. So how can you go ahead and say chayv? Everything's paid up. You say a sada that there is to me is sold to you. You can't say all the fields. It says the halacha is meitzah mechaber l'raya, and when a person says a sada, right? Therefore, since he is holding on to the sada, he'd have to bring a raya. Now, if you look at Rashbam, tell us 3 lines up. Hasam by the sadais. Bala shtar ala tachtaina. The one who has the shtar has the lower hand. The mitzi mechaveira, you want to be mitzi mechaveira field. Allah raya, the hainu lekeach, the one who bought it. Umilsa the Rabbi del el nami, and Rabbi's words before also. Misham Hai Taima, the Yad Balashtala Tachtaina, the Hainu Milva. And therefore he's the Milva, and he's going to have to pay up the larger amount. Hilka Chayv L'cha Biyadi Perua Kol Shtaris Sheyesh Leila Peruin. Therefore, all the Shtaris. I have to bring a raya that I said Perua. I have to bring a raya that what? That only this one was Perua and not the other ones. So whoever has the lower hand has the lower hand. Says the Mishnah. Now, guys, we're going to start the sugya of Orev. a cosigner. Person goes ahead and is a guarantee. He guarantees the loan. Be aware, there's two types of cosigners. There's an Arev and an Arev Kablan. A Kablan is much stronger. We'll get into the halachas of a Kablan tomorrow. But a Kablan is more, it's a different lashon and it's different achrayas. Maybe you can come to him first, before the first one, we'll see. Someone goes ahead and he lends money from his friend. He borrows money from his friend through a guarantor. Don't go from the Arev. Now, the Havmin of the Gemara is that don't go to him at all. The Havmin of the Gemara is don't go to him at all. The answer is don't go to him first. Okay? Don't go to him first. The Amaloi, however, if the Malba tells the Arev at the time of the Halva, Al Menashe Pari Mimisha Eretza, the Malba says, I'll take from wherever I want to take from, then you Pari Mina Arev, you can even go first to the Arev. If the loiva has nechasim, benkach ubenkach, whether he said al menashel, I'll take from wherever I want from, or he doesn't say anything, leiporim min ha'arev. As long as the loiva has property or nechasim metaltal, and you can't go to the arev, even if you went ahead and stipulated at the time of the loan, you'll go to whoever you want to. Says Reb Shimon Gamliel, that's only if the loiva has nothing. A second din. If a person guarantees the woman's ksuba that the husband doesn't pay up, he's going to go ahead and so listen to this harama. Obviously, this guy's so poor he can't pay the ksuba, and he tells his wife, "Listen, he's not a kohen, obviously." He tells his wife, "Someone's guaranteeing paying up your ksuba, correct? I'll divorce you. You'll collect your ksuba, then we'll remarry." The old exits, I don't know. That's what we'll do. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. So, again, going into the Torah, going into the criminal mind, that's great. But you, the husband, you're going to have to be mudah enough from your wife that you can't have any enough from her. That'll guarantee that's not going to happen. So, v'hoya bayla megarsha yidirena bayla hana al das rabim. He goes ahead. He makes a ned that has no aforetz al das rabim that he won't take her back. Because why? Shema yasu knunya al nechasim shel arev. Maybe they're going to go ahead and they'll make a knunya on the nechasim of the arev. V'yachzer asishna and take back his wife. Okay. Bottom line is, okay. Let's go to the first din in the Mishnah. What was the first din in the Mishnah? First din in the Mishnah was what that don't. It says it lashon of the Gemara is do not go ahead and collect from an arev. Says the Gemara first. My timer. What's the reason you don't collect from the arev? So Rabbi Yosef Damet Shavayu Gavra Ashlimtali Gavra Ashlimalach. The Havamina of the Gemara is a fascinating Havamina, guys. You know what it is? What an arev does? An arev guarantees that I'll deliver you the loiva. In other words, if when will I pay up? If the loiva runs away or if the loiva dies, if I can't guarantee you his presence, then I'll pay up. But as long as I can give you the loiva, then you're not mechuyev to me anything. This is the havamina that an arev is not guaranteeing money; he's guaranteeing the borrower. He's guaranteeing the borrower. If the borrower is not here, then I'll pay. But without the borrower here, I'm not guaranteeing any money. So that's the lashon of the Gemara. The lashon of the Gemara is Gavra Ashlamisli, Gavra Ashlimilcha. You handed over a man to me, and I'm handing you back someone. So his arvis is on the loiva. Maskler of Nachman, Hai Dina de Prasoy, right? This is the din. This is a Persian din. Says the Gemara, Adarabba, Basa Arba Azla. The Persians, they go initially to the Arev, even before the loiva. Elabei Dina de Prasoy. This is similar to the Bezin of Prasoy, the Loyov time of the Messiah. Don't give any reasoning to this because it doesn't make any sense. El Omer of Nachman, when you're in Arev, you're not guaranteeing the presence of the loiva, you're really guaranteeing cash. My lo yiparmin Arev, lo yitfa Arev tchila. Do not be toiveya from the Arev tchila. In the Havamina is Gemara, don't be toiveya at all, right? Here, no, don't be toiveya betchila. But of course, if the loiva refuses to pay, then you could go to the Arev. Tanya nami hachi, hamal v'skaveroi al yidei Arev, lo yitfa Arev tchila. You should not be toiveya the Arev initially. So you have a brisa substantiating this. Vim omer al menashe pora mimisha eretza. And if you said on the condition that I'll take payment from who I want to, Yitfa Arev Tchila, you can go to the Arev first. Okay, now the Gemara is going to look for a source for Arvis. The Gemara is going to look for a source for Arvis. Rav Huna, minayin le'orev the mishabed. How do you know Navi is mishabed? Okay, let's go to the videotape, and we're going to get to Basra Hashem in a few weeks. Parshas Miketz, where Yaakov Yosef is the viceroy of Mitzrayim. He's in charge of things. The brothers come down, and he gives them a tough time. And he says he's holding Shimon hostage till you bring Binyamin back. There's no way in the world that Yaakov's sending Binyamin back. He's the only remnant he has of Rachel. And first Reuven comes to take him, and then Yehuda comes. And he listens to Yehuda. Reuven is a Kabbalan. He says, I'm willing to Lashon, give him to me, Tanuli, give him to me. And Reuven says, I'm willing to give up my own children. And Yaakov's not listening. He says, what do I gain by you giving your children? I want them too. And Yehuda basically gives up his whole world. He says, I'll be a slave. I will give up my Olam Haba really just to take care of this. And so Yehuda takes Achrayas and he listens to Yehuda. So the Lashonis that he uses by Yehuda and by Reuven is the subject of whether we see in there that you can be an Orev or not. So that's the background. Comes along the Gemara, says the Gemara, my timer, Rabbi Yosef Namitrabayu, no, I'm sorry. Amar Rav Huna, minayin le'orev the mishtabed. How do you know an orev is mishtabed? Just without a kinyan. Again, just an amira without a kinyan. Yichsiv, it says by Yehuda, when Yehuda tells Yaakov, Anochi arvenu, I'll guarantee, I'll co-sign the safety of Binyamin. Miyadi tivachshena, from me you'll be able to request him. Okay, now we want a lushan, we don't want a kabbalan, fellas, we want an orev. Maskal Rav Chisda, a kablanasi. This is kablanis, and it's not arvis. This is a high madrega. Dichsiv, because it says when Reuven spoke to Yaakov, Tana osa al yadi, lashon tain is lashon of kablanis. Give Binyamin to me, v'ani ashiven, I'll return him to you, right? And therefore, I'm a kabbalah, and I'll return him to you. Now, this is amira v'alma, and nonetheless, what? That's kablanis. Now, kasha is you want to prove kablanis by Yehuda from the lashon of kablanis by Reuven. Maharsha explains, and in Svar it's like that. Obviously, Reuven Yehuda cannot be coming with less of an achrayus than Reuven. In other words, I'm willing to give you $100, and Yaakov says no. He goes, okay, I'll give you 50. No, it makes no sense, guys. It makes no sense. The fact that Reuven was willing to be a kabbalan, certainly what Yehuda was not less than that. So we can infer from the kabbalanis of Reuven that Yehuda also must have been at least a kabbalan, and Mimela you don't have a raya to Arvis. A kabbalan we understand, but we don't have a raya to Arvis. And we'll see the distinctions tomorrow. So therefore you have no raya. Here it's a pasuk in Mishlei. It says, "Lekach bigdoi, take the beged of the orev, ki arav." Because what? Because I'll co-sign zar for a friend of a stranger. Uba'ad nachriya chavleyu v'oimer. In addition, it says, "B'ni imarav tolereyacha." If you go ahead and you guarantee money, to katel zar kapecha. And if you went ahead and you embarrassed the guy, you insulted the guy with your mouth, I say, so do this. Do one of these two things. When he case your money, right? Go open your hand. Lashon hisrapes is the nutrition of hartala pieces yad. Right? Hartala pieces yad, guys. Look, hartala pieces yad. Open your hand and give the money. So it's a lashon hisrapes is harter pisa. Right? The lashon nutrition harpes is mami yeshlecha b'yadcha hartala pieces yad. Then lav, and if it's not a case of money, it's a case of insulting. Then harbol of reim, go ahead and get reim. Get a lot of people there to go ahead and try to make peace between the two of you. The bottom line is, you see in Mishlei the concept of Arev. Now, guys, can you view an Arev as an asmachta? What's an asmachta? Remember, you say something because you don't believe it's going to happen. I was in Orev on a loan, and I'm still. It has not. It's been years and years and years. A person asked me for. I co-signed the loan for $10,000. The person did not pay up, and I'm still holding the bag. Let me ask you a question. Did I think in a million years this person would mess me over? No. That's not asmachta. Now, if asmachta is loy kanya, how could you have arvis? Good. Let's discuss it. Amar Meima. Orev the mishabe, an orev, whether he's mishubid, b'machloikas Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, depends upon machloikas between Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi. Le Rabbi Yossi the Amra smachta kanya. Like Rabbi Yossi says, the smachta is kanya, is orev mishtabe, the orev is mishubid to pay. Well, Rabbi Yehuda the Amra smachta like kanya, orev loy mishtabe. I know it's not, which makes a lot of sense. So Amar Ravashi la Meima hamaisa b'chol yoyim. It's a ma'isa every day. That smachta like kanya, that smachta is not acquired, but orev mishtabed, and an orev is mishubed. So you see a smachta loy kanya, and yet an orev is mishubed. How do you reconcile the two? Elam Ravashi bahu ana the kamehimnale, the hana that he has, that the loan is going through only because of him. Gomar u'mishabed nafshe. Again, what's the svara guys of a smachta loy kanya? You don't have gemira stas. You don't really think you're going to lose it, so you don't really. There's no, you don't really mean it. However, where the whole loan is taking place only because of you, with that hana, you're saying, well, you know what? If he doesn't pay up, I'm willing to pay up. That's the Gemira's das. That even though it's an asmachta, which is usually not kanya, if according to this, nonetheless you would be mishubid. Because why? Because you gave over based upon your hana.